This is going to be a quick demonstration of AlumCloud. AlumCloud comes feature-rich, just packed full of wonderful features. It's got collaboration built in. We've got social integration built in AlumCloud. We have got a locations manager built into AlumCloud. We also have the full messaging system and a chat system built into AlumCloud. And there's one thing to notice about AlumCloud is that we're working through a browser. Unlike other computer-aided design drafting solutions, this drafting solution, AlumCloud, focuses on the browser. It's written 100% in JavaScript. That means that this program, not only do you not have to install it, you do not have to worry about which operating system this program is working on. It will work on any operating system in the world. It will also work on any device in the world. As of today, we're just going to focus on the drawings only. But I just wanted to go over some of the other features, and you will see them in there. But we can get back to that at a later date. So let's just go ahead and sign in. Once we sign in, we're immediately brought to our enterprise panel. So let's go over here to build something. Now this is all raw JavaScript. There's nothing installed on this computer. Everything is happening in real time on remote servers. So let's go over here and go to project. Let's create us a new project, and we'll choose a US aluminum catalog. And we'll call this our first project for Sean. And we'll go 1, 2, 3 Sean Street. And then we'll do Sean City. And then we'll do Texas, and we'll just make up a zip code here. And then we'll do a sample email.com and put us a phone number in here. Now this is a project we're creating. All of this information that you see that we're creating in this project dialog is going to be on the first page of the cover page of the drawings, which is typical for architectural drawings. And let's go ahead and put us a note in here. This is a project note. As soon as we create this project, click it, we have gone to the servers just that quick. We've saved the data, and now we've been presented with an elevation dialog. One thing I do want to bring to your attention is that it's lacking in web design. We have got a lot of work left to do as far as design and presenting the user with their tools and their controls, so these dialogues don't take up so much real estate. But for the most part, the program is 90% complete. All of the hard work is pretty much done. We're to what is called the catalog stage. The catalog stage is where we begin integrating the catalogs, but at the same time, there's a lot of little items that need to be fixed here and there. So let's go ahead and create us an elevation. And once again, keep in mind that this is 100% written in JavaScript. And I've got some redundancy here on purpose. That's to force the user to choose a 450 or a 451 framing system. This beta version is for testing the features out only. Okay? The width of the elevation, we'll just go ahead and set it at 44 feet, 5 inches. And for the height of the elevation, we'll just choose 8 feet, 8 inches. Okay? And for the bay count, if you don't know what a bay is, these are bays here. In between the glass, where you've got the glass, you've got a vertical piece of aluminum here, which is called a vertical mullion. And then on this side, you've got glass. This is what you would consider bay 1, bay 2, bay 3. So let's just go ahead and put us 9 bays in there. And now the quantity. A lot of times in a retail center, general contractor will give a glazer a set of drawings that has an elevation that are identical. So instead of the glazer redrafting and redrafting, he just drafts it once and says, well, there's 6 of these elevations on this project. So let's go ahead and put an elevation note in here. Okay, let's go ahead and create this elevation. And if you'll notice just how quick this elevation has been created, and it did extend our window, so we've got our scroll bar here. I particularly at this point do not want to see that ugly looking set of scroll bars, so we'll change it down to 38 feet. How about that? That'll make it look a lot prettier for presentation. And typically in between your bays, you won't have it over 48 inches, so that's 4 feet. Glass is typically not going to be cut over 4 feet wide. So at this point, we've got us a project created with an elevation. All the data stored on a data server somewhere else. If you go over here and click on drawing real quick, all the drawings, when you render them, they are rendered dynamically. There are no drawings being stored on the server. When you click that button, you're going to notice I've got some more information along with this package, that when you click that button, it's going to go out to AlumCloud servers. It's going to go to what's called an elevation manager. And what it does, it pulls the data out of the SQL database, brings it back, and throws it at the elevation server, and it creates this elevation on the fly. So we can see what we're doing. We like what we're looking at. But say at this point we're not 100% sure if the client's going to like it or not. So we could stop here, choose the email button, and put our client's email in here. And once we do that, we can just email it to the client, and we're done until we hear back from the client. But let's go ahead and put a little bit more in there to make it interesting. So let's go ahead and open one of these bays up. Over here is more or less the configuration menu items. And like I said, this may change later on down the road when we really start focusing on the design. The most important thing to remember is the core features are created, and that's the hardest part. So on bay 1, let's go ahead and widen bay 1 just a little bit up to, let's say, 75 inches, 79 inches in width. These are these vertical aluminum mullions here is what they call those. Those are 2 inches in width. So this is what's called a daylight opening. So 75 plus 2 is 77, plus 2 is 79. Let's go ahead and put us a door in there. So we click our add button. We usually choose a single door. What bay do we want to add it to? Bay 1. So now this alert dialog is only showed to the user once. What this is saying is that the door you just added is a placeholder. You must configure the door by clicking the door menu item before shop drawings are rendered correctly. So basically what you've done here is added a door. You have not configured it. So let's go ahead and configure that door. Now looking at this door configure dialog box is a prime example of the desperate need of a good artistic web designer's eye to be able to package up this information and present it to the user in a better way without taking up so much real estate. So we did choose bay 1, door 1 in bay 1. So we're going to choose the door. Let's go over here. We're working with the 451 framing system, and we'll choose that. Now, working with storefronts, the door is not actually this part. The door is the frame. The leaf on storefronts is this portion right here, what is known as the door in residentials. So let's go ahead and choose us a leaf, medium style. So now we've got us a door in here. Let's see what it looks like on our drawings. Just for the quick view, we've got our door in here. All of our calculations are correct. And I want you to take a quick notice on here. Remember what I told you earlier when we created a project, that all of that information would be stored on the cover page. It's also stored under each elevation. The installer is the account holder. So whenever you created your account and you keep your account information up to date, that information is always going to be stored here. As far as the elevation information, the name of this elevation is what we named it, Sean's elevation. The dimensions of this elevation. This is the framing series that we chose for this elevation. This is the framing type, and this is the glazing method. Now, at this point, we could print this elevation if we would like by clicking on print. And once we click on print, we can make it smaller, and we can see how it is in print view. It's ready to be printed. Now, these features are not available on traditional computer-aided design drafting programs. Now, what we've done here, we've really focused on making it easy for the glazer. We can choose just the door schedule. Now, we're only looking at the door schedule. So, well, we could click on drawings, and if we wanted to ask our customer if that door is okay right there, or would they rather put the door in bay 3. We could just put their email in there, and it would send this elevation on to them. So let's go ahead and add some horizontals. And what these are called is horizontal mullions. And what we'll do is we'll add them to the height of the door, and we'll add them to all of the bays at one time at 86 inches in height, because from the floor to the top of that door is 86 inches. So let's go ahead and click that. So keep in mind that when we've added all of these horizontals, we've gone to the database remotely somewhere else. We're in an airplane right now 33,000 feet above the ground, drawing this elevation. Our computer crashed. Well, we could have borrowed our buddies, because it doesn't matter. The license is not on this computer because AlumCloud does not require a license. It's a subscription based. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So we dynamically have added those horizontals. Let's go ahead and not take up too much time here. We've already got all the bays chosen, so let's go down to 36 inches in height, which that's a typical height for glass to be added. So let's go ahead and add it on there. Okay, so now we'll number them too. Now remember, our symbols are very helpful. We got horizontal 1 here and horizontal 2. Now I want you to think about something else too, is that no longer was this the first row of horizontals. All of this information had to go back to the database. These horizontals had to be added. IDs had to be created, had to be attached to the horizontals. They had to return back to the browser, and everything had to be updated. It happened just that quick. So let's go ahead and see what we're looking at now on our drawing. So we do have our horizontals on here. Now I want you to take a look at this. Now for our horizontals, these are called sight lines. So this is 2-inch SL, and it's 36 inches from the floor. FF means from floor. SL means sight line. So this program right here is scooting along. Now we're not getting into the other wonderful options that AlumCloud offers, but I do want to let you take a little peek here. We have got our Twitter integrated. We've got 15 new tweets. We'll click on that and see if we get anything interesting. Probably not. Now, this area here is the built-in chat room for AlumCloud. This one's not an option. Now, on this side, this is LinkedIn. Now, for our LinkedIn, we can choose one of these rooms that we have pre-chosen for LinkedIn. So this is a room for LinkedIn, and if you'll notice, it's got all of the options there that you would expect for LinkedIn. Also, too, for LinkedIn, you can click on your contacts, and it will go out to LinkedIn, and it will get your contacts, and it will bring them back to you. Sometimes it takes a little bit of latency, because we got about 4,000 or 5,000 contacts on there. So we'll just skip that part. So what we've done so far is we've created an elevation. We've looked at the drawing on the fly. And now let's go over here under our projects where it says drawings, and let's manage that elevation. So we'll click on number 5 on our pager. So we'll go on down here, and we'll find Sean's project. There is Sean's project right here. Sean's project's got 6 elevations in it, but notice it's only one type of elevation. Also, Sean's project, for each elevation, it's got a door in it. So this would be your door schedule. So let's go ahead and click on this is something else to take into consideration, is that you're able to manage your projects at the project level. You're also able to manage your projects at the elevation level. This is really, really helpful in the industry to be able to micromanage your elevations. This is something that's never been done before. Typically, you would have to go over to projects, save a PDF that's got 50 sheets in it, extract number 15 out of it, reattach it to your email, and then send it to the customer. So let's click on elevations. And once we click on elevations, we're presented with 3 different ways. We can view the elevation, we can print the elevation, or we can email the elevation. Now, I'm going to tell you that's some pretty handy stuff right there. So let's just go ahead and get it on PDF mode. Let's view this elevation. Now, this is exactly the same thing that we were looking at as we were drawing. So we'll do that. And now we'll see the PDF mode when we print the elevation. So now we're printing the elevation in PDF mode. So this is the elevation. We are on the project micromanaging this baby at the elevation level. And when it really becomes interesting is when you've got more than one elevation. So over here we'll go to our door schedule. We'll click on it, and we'll print our door schedule out. There's our door schedule. It's ready to be printed out. We could just view the door schedule if we wanted to, or we could email that door schedule if we wanted to someone. Now this is very helpful. You could email that door schedule to yourself in an image format or a PDF format, or you could email it to somebody else. Okay, now we've got revisions. Say you needed to revise this elevation. The general contractor said there was something wrong with the elevation. Okay, I'm going to revise this elevation. I just revise this elevation. And then we're going to click Add Elevation. Now look how great this is. We have updated the elevation. We fixed what the general contractor wanted us to fix, and we put a timestamp on it. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And let's go ahead and get an estimate for this elevation. Now think about this. We're getting an estimate for this elevation, not an estimate for the whole project to where we would have to take each elevation apart and then get a price on it. So let's click on elevation and print elevation, print estimate. So now we've got our estimate here for the elevation, which is absolutely fantastic, and it's also just loaded with information here. Now these types of information definitely needs to be formatted a lot better, but the main thing is that the information is there for right now, so a good web designer will know what to do with that information. And here's these automation sheets. Just by drafting, we're going to get a cut sheet. So let's go ahead and look at our cut sheet. This is our cut sheet. This is what's expected by drafting one elevation. We get our takeoffs. So now we got our takeoffs. And if you'll notice how fast it renders it, all this is done dynamically. Let's optimize this. So we've optimized this elevation. And if you'll notice on every one of them, you got the option to email it. So on the glazing, now this is really interesting. So we're going to print the glazing. Now what the glazing does, it tells us how many pieces of glass that we need, what type of glass, what's the width, what's the height, and the area. So we don't have to run out there with the tape measure and figure all this crap out with the calculator. Just by drafting that one elevation, you've got all this information. So the very last thing is the labels. Now what the labels are for is for your cut sheet. Whenever you cut each part, because the person who drafted it, it may be 6 months later before they start cutting it. So when they cut a piece, they're going to take their labels and they're going to take their label right off of the little sticky thing. You're just going to peel your label off and you're going to stick it to the piece of aluminum that you just cut. So that's micromanaging it at the elevation level. So let's go ahead and see what happens on the project level. For submittals, you've got the same thing as you would for the elevation level. You would submit this project to the general contractor to see if he liked it. It also puts a timestamp. The contractor did or did not like it. You can add a note here. Now, we're adding a note at the project level, not the elevation level. So let's add a revision. We time-stamped it. There we go. So let's go ahead and get an estimate. We're going to get an estimate at the project level. We can also email this estimate to the customer, or we can get an estimate at the project level. Very, very rich features. And the last feature, then we got the glazing for the entire project, because what we looked at earlier was the glazing for this elevation. Now we may have 15 or 20 different elevations in here, so we can micromanage them at the elevation level. But for the project, we're going to want them all. Now for the very last feature, when everything is correct, there's a button here, menu item called Roll Up. Excuse me. When you click Roll Up, that's going to roll up the entire project, and it's going to get ready for printing, and it's going to be the same type of architectural drawings that you would see on any job site. You build a house, they're rolled up. Everybody's seen architectural drawings. So I'm going to click on that. We've got an option here to add the labels. Now these are beta servers, so it takes a second to render all of these bitmaps, because that's basically what we're doing. We're writing all of this information to a bitmap, and then we're converting it over to a PDF, and then we're sending it to the client. So we're not worried about labels. We already know it will do it. So let's print the roll up and see how pretty this looks. So we're rolling up the entire project. And as you would expect, when you roll up the entire project, you've got a cover page. So here's our cover page. We've got our cover page here that's got the framing system for the entire project. You've got the name of the project. Remember that first dialog, we named the project and we put where it was at, the email and the address and all that. That information has been placed on the front. This is the first sheet. Now the installer. The installer is the account holder. So that information doesn't have to be put in anywhere else. It is the account holder's information. And the third one we got down here is the software that was used to create this set of drawings. So now we'll just scroll down real quick here. So we've got the project. Now this is the project level. We've got the takeoffs for the project level. We've got the optimization for the project level. And that's it for that. And then next we've got the elevation. Now here's where it gets neat. We got the door schedule. And so now we've got the takeoff for the elevation. We've got the optimization for that elevation. And we've got the cut sheet for that elevation. And what makes that so important is that typically 9 times out of 10 you're going to have 5 to 10 elevations. So on the first thing you had was your cover sheet. You had all the information that was related to the project. Then we rolled it on down to the elevation level, and then it gave you the information for each elevation. Now what would happen is if we had another elevation in here, it would show that elevation, and then it would start all over again, and it would give you each part for that elevation. So I hope this has been helpful in giving you a better explanation of AlumCloud. And if you got any questions, just email me at eric@AlumCloud, ERIK @ALUMCLOUD.com.